look at the Green Party. It did surprisingly well. According to Matthew Goodwin in the Sunday Times today, he's a professor at the University of Kent, he's noted a quietly impressive performance by the Greens this week, a big hint that we may well be heading in the same direction as our European neighbours, such as Germany, where cosmopolitan parties are eclipsing the old centre-left. Now, my point there is we don't have PR. It's still really hard for third parties, fourth parties to break through, to win seats in the Westminster system. We've had one, I think, Green MP. But we are now going to speak to Baroness Bennett, Natalie Bennett, the Green Party peer and former party leader, who joins us on Zoom. I can see Natalie, you can't. And you had a good election, Natalie, and can you explain why? I mean, was it at the expense of the Labour Party, which is the subject of this hour?
Well, no, I mean, we've had, I would say, a spectacular election. And of course, since that Sunday Times piece was written, we've had a really amazing day today, particularly in Bristol, where we saw 13 gains on Bristol City Council. And we're now equal pegging with Labour with 24 seats on the City Council. And if you look at the Bristol West constituency, we've got nearly all the councillors in that constituency and won nearly 50% of the vote. So things have really moved on from that. And, that was perhaps a quiet result on Sunday night is what now is a very good result. But what's really interesting is there's actually an almost equal balance of the seats that we've taken. We've won 99, gained 99 new seats, and they're pretty well half-half between Labour and Tory. And, one of the other bits of news that came out this afternoon that I've just seen is, Oxfordshire County Council. We've just taken 2 seats off the Conservatives there. We've now got 3 Greens on Oxfordshire County Council. So we're quite different to Bristol. And if you look around the country, we're back on Cornwall County Council. We've got our first Greens on Cumbria County Council and on Northumberland County Council. So we really are winning seats all around the country with a vision of a green future, something really different, a different kind of political offering, which, as Professor Goodwin was saying, really is reflecting what's happening in many parts of the world. And of course, that's happening under first past the post. Of course, we want a fair proportional electoral system, but we don't need to wait for that as Greens. We're winning seats anyway.
Well, congratulations are clearly in order for your successes. Also in Scotland, which we're not going to focus on, but I mean, there is thought there that, together with the SNP, you do have an effective majority in Holyrood. So do you see that happening down south in the Westminster Parliament? Could you, and in local government as well? If you really do start making strong local gains, how could you turn that to success in Westminster? By maybe forging alliances with the splintering second and third and fourth parties?
Well, I think what we've shown and what people are really starting to get is that you can vote Green and get Green, and that's what the people of Bristol can see. And what we also saw in the Bristol mayoral result very late last night, or perhaps it was earlier this morning, we actually finished second for the first time in a mayoral race. And people was asking me, because I was also celebrating that we finished for the third time. We finished third in the London mayoral race with Sian Berry also winning an extra London Assembly member. And in many of the mayoral races up and down the country, and quite a few of the Police and Crime Commission also, we're finishing third. And people were saying, why are you celebrating finishing third? Well, you finish third, then you finish second, then you finish first. And that's, the way you progress these things and the way things work in politics. And we've been building up in Bristol for a long time. And of course, we are already, as a minority administration, running the council in Brighton and Hove. And we had a kind of verdict on that in this group of elections. There was a by-election there, which we took an extra seat on the council from that position. So, Greens can take control and run things. And if you look around the country, you're mentioning the rest of Europe, there's a German candidate for Chancellor. The Green candidate is actually, leading the polls. Of course, lots of things can happen before we actually get to an election, but, very much a serious contender to be the Chancellor of Germany.
I do seem to remember a Cameroonian slogan was vote blue, get green, or go green. Do you remember that? But we have an election coming up. You have a by-election coming up. Have you going to field a good, strong candidate in Batley and Spen? And what are your hopes there?
Well, I think it's interesting because this, of course, is arising as a result of the West Yorkshire mayoral, and we've just had a very strong showing in that with a very strong candidate, Councillor Andrew Cooper from Kirklees, who's been our long-time veteran councillor there, built up the council group there, and he got more than 55,000 votes in the West Yorkshire election. And Yorkshire is, very much an area of growth. Speaking as a Sheffield Green Party member in Sheffield, we've just gone from 8 to 13 councillors, taken the council out of Labor control into no overall control. So Yorkshire is very much an area of growth and strength for us, and something I've done quite a bit of work on. There's so many people in Yorkshire, as around the country, are totally fed up with the concentration of power and resources on Westminster. And we're campaigning for a Yorkshire Parliament to have real control, real resources returned to the people of Yorkshire. And I think that's a message that's likely to go down very well in Batley and Spen. And, I think that's known as a red wall kind of seat. And if you just look across the Pennines to Burnley, we now have 5 Green councillors in Burnley in what might be seen as a traditional red wall type seat.
So the Green manifesto in Batley and Spen would be to have a Yorkshire Parliament, so full devolution in Yorkshire.
Well, that's something that we campaign for, across the board. I mean, I would think in Batley and Spen, of course, the manifesto will be much broader than that, as we're offering elsewhere, saying that we need a society that works for the common good.
I'm just thinking of that particular one, but that's interesting. I'm sure Yorkshire would like that. God's own county. Thanks very, very much for your time this evening. That was Baroness Bennett, Natalie Bennett, Green Party peer and former party leader. Back to you.